Okay, title your notes, inequalities with one variable, section 5-4. Here's your definition. Solving inequalities is similar to solving equations. Okay, let's stop right there. First of all, let's remember what inequalities are. That's your less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Solving equations, that's going to have an equal sign. Okay, so they're very similar. The difference is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to reverse the inequality. So if it was greater than, it becomes less than, and vice versa. Equivalent inequalities are inequalities that have the same solution set. Okay, so these two, this and this, would both be equivalent inequalities, because if I were to excuse me, if I were to rewrite this one, I would divide both sides by 3, because like I said on the previous page, you solve it just like it had an equal sign. All right? So if this was an equal sign, you'd divide by 3, divide by 3. Okay? So then x would be greater than 5. Okay? Same as this. That's why they're equivalent. Equivalent, you can see equal in there. Okay, similar. All right, solving graph. Negative 2x plus 5 is greater than or equal to negative 29. Okay, so again, if this was an equal sign, you have your x's here, you have numbers, and you have numbers. We need to get all the numbers on the other side of the inequality. Okay? So I would subtract 5. We're going to do the opposite operation to move it to the opposite side. If I subtract 5 from this side, I subtract 5 from this side. I still have negative 2x. I'm not going to change my sign. And then negative 29 minus 5 is negative 34. And I'm going to keep going until I get x by itself. Well, here, I would divide by negative 2. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. 1 times x is just x. Now here's where it's going to change. Because I divided by a negative, this sign is going to change direction. So instead of greater than or equal to, it's now less than or equal to. And that's going to get us 17. All right, it also says to graph. Okay, remember the graphing? Oops. Okay, remember just give me one above and one below. So if I have 17 in the middle, just give me one above, one below. Okay, then I look here. Because it has an underline, that means it could equal 17, so I'm going to fill that in. Or it could be less than 17. Okay, so it could be anything, 16, 17, all days down, 16, 15, 14, 13. Okay? All right, so on this one, you have 5 times something is less than negative 30. So I'll divide by 5. That'll get x by itself. I don't change the sign because I divided by a positive, so it doesn't change. Even though this is negative, it doesn't matter. It's if we divide by a negative. Okay, so that's going to be negative 6. Negative 6, negative 5, negative 7. Open circle this time because there's no underline. And then I want everything smaller than negative 6. Okay, on this one we have something minus 9 is greater than or equal to 10. So to get rid of the minus 9, I add 9. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. I'm left with just A. Don't change my sign because all I did was add. And that's my answer. Okay, hopefully this doesn't seem too threatening. All right, there's not much to this. This is going to be greater than or equal to, so I have a closed circle. Greater than is going to be this way. Okay, divide by negative 2. All right, there we go. Okay, so negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. 1 times x is x. Because I divided by a negative, I got to flip my sign here. Okay, that's going to be negative 6. Okay, so it's going to be a closed circle. And we want everything greater than negative 6. That's going to be everything this way. Now, if you want me to describe to you why we flip the sign when we divide by a negative, call me over and I'll show you, okay? All right, go ahead and pause, okay? Try this one, all right? Okay, so hopefully you paused it and you tried it, all right? So let's look at it. We've got 2n, we've got a 5, and we've got a 12. These two are like terms. They need to get on the other side from the n. So if it's a plus 5, I'm going to minus 5. Do the opposite operation to move it to the opposite side, okay? So this becomes 2n. I don't change my sign because I'm subtracting. All right, I'm going to divide both sides by 2, excuse me. And I get 3.5. 3.5, 3, and, oops, did that backwards, sorry about that. Okay, so it's going to be closed on 3.5, and it could be anything smaller than that, so it's going to go this way. All right, now we're going to throw the distributive property in there. We've been practicing this, okay? Same way as if it was an equal sign. You take the number on the outside times the first one, number on the outside times the second one, okay? So negative 3 times x, and negative 3 times positive 2. This does not change, okay? I didn't multiply or divide by a negative. All I'm doing is distributing. All right, I have an x, I have a 6, and I have a 24. These two need to go together, so to move this over, I'm going to do the opposite. Make that 0. Negative 3x plus 0 is just negative 3x. I'm not messing with the sign, okay? So all I did was add. And lastly, I will divide by negative 3. Now because I divided by a negative, I got to flip the direction of this sign. Okay, so it's going to be open on negative 10, and we want everything greater. All right, so on this one we have the variable on both sides, and we have a 9. Well, let's go ahead and leave that 9 there, and let's move the x's over here. All right, so I have negative 2x, sign doesn't change. I'm left with 9 on that side. If I divide by negative 2, okay, I'm going to change the direction because I divided by a negative. All right, and that's my answer. All right, open on negative 4.5, and it's going to be everything less than that. Okay, last one. We got ourselves a little story problem. Carrie has 17 minutes of music on a 90-minute CD. How many 5-minute songs can she still get onto the disc? Okay, so what we're going to do on this is we're going to say, all right, she's already used 17 minutes. Okay, that plus 5 minutes per song, or that's a 5-minute song. All right, I don't want to use S for a variable. Let's use G for song, okay? So the 17 minutes that she's used already, plus 5 minutes per song, needs to be less than or equal to 90. It could add up to 90, so it could equal 90, but it can't be greater than 90, okay? So that's why I put the less than sign. All right, that gives us our inequality, so let's go ahead and solve it. I've got a number, I've got a variable expression, and I've got a number. So let's get these guys together, which makes sense, right? We take the 90 minutes that can be added up to, all right? And we're going to subtract the 17 that we've already used. Okay, so that's going to be 3. So we have 73 minutes left. And if it's 5 minutes per song, well, if I divide it by 5, okay, I believe it's 14.6. Okay, so that means we have less than or equal to, each song we can have less than or equal to 14.6 songs. Okay, so if we had 15 songs, that's going to be too much. So that means she can fit 14 songs on there yet. Okay, all right, that's it.